She became a career prosecutor while he became a career criminal. With 34 felonies, 2 impeachments, and 1 porn star to prove it.
The crowd was still murmuring when Jasmine Crockett took the stage, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. She wasted no time. Her first words weren't pleasantries. They were an attack, a direct strike at Ivanka Trump's carefully polished public mask. The perfect image that had been sculpted in glossy magazines and polished speeches was about to shatter in seconds. Ivanka, seated with her familiar poised smile, seemed untouchable, the embodiment of composure. But Crockett's tone was not the usual rhetoric of politics. It was fire meant to burn down illusions. "You call it grace? I call it a cover-up," Crockett snapped, her words echoing in the room. The audience, unsure whether to gasp or laugh, leaned forward. Then, with the precision of a prosecutor cross-examining a hostile witness, Crockett aimed straight at Ivanka's image. A perfect daughter, a perfect businesswoman, a perfect symbol. But perfection is a lie when it hides the truth. The first ripples of laughter spread through the crowd, not at a joke, but at the audacity of someone tearing down the untouchable. Ivanka's expression stiffened for the first time. The cameras caught every twitch, every tightening of her jaw. This was not supposed to happen. The script had been written for elegance and control. But Crockett was rewriting it in real time, and the audience knew they were watching a moment that could not be taken back. The eruption had only begun.
In terms of the press, etc., but I think probably I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could win. You know, if I thought I was going to be knocked out 9 people ago, I would have probably said I won't do it.
Ivanka Trump had spent years mastering the art of being untouchable. She was the image her family wanted the world to see. Graceful, measured, carefully positioned in every photograph and interview. Her words were polished, her presence rehearsed, her reputation designed like an expensive brand. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't playing by those rules. She had seen enough of polished masks and carefully scripted answers. To her, Ivanka's perfect image was nothing more than another performance, a distraction from deeper truths. Crockett reminded the audience that politics wasn't a runway show. It was a battlefield. And tonight she was ready to draw blood. The audience could sense the tension. Some leaned closer, waiting to see if Ivanka would rise to defend herself. Others laughed nervously as though they already knew this wouldn't be another safe exchange of pleasantries. Crockett turned directly to the cameras, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "They tell us she's the model of perfection. But tell me, since when does perfection mean silence, when truth is being buried?" Ivanka shifted in her chair, forcing a polite smile. She had been praised for her calmness under fire, for her ability to glide past criticism without letting it stick. But tonight was different. The audience wasn't in awe. They were waiting to see if that polished surface would finally crack. Crockett's challenge wasn't just to Ivanka, it was to the narrative itself. The narrative that money, influence, and family legacy could disguise flaws as virtues. And as the crowd sensed, that narrative was about to collapse.
A new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
The insult had once been hurled by Donald Trump himself, meant to diminish Jasmine Crockett. Tonight, she threw it back, turning it into a weapon. "Low IQ? That's what they say when a woman refuses to bow down," she declared, her eyes fixed on Ivanka. The audience roared with laughter, recognizing the sharp edge of her defiance. Ivanka tried to hold her composure, her voice calm but brittle. "I believe in dignity and respect even when others don't." Her words floated into the air, but they landed without weight. Crockett pounced. "Respect? Is that what you call hiding behind an image so carefully polished it could blind a camera lens?" The crowd erupted again, the laughter sharper, more mocking. Each line Crockett delivered cut into the very foundation of Ivanka's persona. The exchange grew more vicious. Ivanka attempted to pivot to her record, her family, her commitment to causes she had championed. But Crockett dismantled each point with ruthless precision. When Ivanka mentioned empowerment, Crockett snapped back. "Empowerment isn't a photo shoot. It's standing in the fire and proving you can survive it." Every word was met with cheers, applause, or outright laughter. It wasn't just what Crockett was saying. It was how she said it. Each phrase dripped with conviction, carrying the energy of someone who had waited too long to let this moment pass. The tension inside the room was unbearable. Ivanka's smile faltered. Her replies grew shorter, thinner, almost pleading for space to breathe. But Crockett refused to give her that space. She pressed harder, refusing to let the perfect image stand unchallenged. The crowd could sense it. Ivanka was losing her ground. The myth of composure was collapsing in real time.
Stops right here and stops right now.
The moment that broke the room came suddenly, with no warning. Ivanka lifted her chin, preparing to respond with her usual calm eloquence, but Crockett, seizing the pause, slammed down her words like a gavel. Your perfect image stops right here and stops right now. The effect was electric. The hall exploded in laughter, a rolling wave that drowned out Ivanka's attempt to answer. Even those who had entered the room with sympathy for her found themselves swept up in the eruption. The mask of elegance, the immaculate composure. It all cracked beneath the roar of the crowd. Ivanka froze. Her practiced smile wavered into a grimace. The cameras zoomed in mercilessly, catching the flicker in her eyes that betrayed the pressure of the moment. For years, she had been shielded by luxury, by calculated appearances and flattering headlines. But now she stood unprotected, her image collapsing under the weight of a single sentence. Crockett didn't gloat. She didn't need to. The crowd had already declared victory. Each laugh was a blow, each cheer a confirmation that Ivanka's armor had been pierced. Ivanka tried one last time to reclaim her composure. I stand for women, for dignity, for family values, she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. But Crockett cut in instantly, her tone colder, sharper, unrelenting. No, you stand for a picture frame, and tonight that frame is shattered. The audience was on its feet now, some clapping, some laughing, all swept into the spectacle. What had begun as another staged appearance had transformed into a brutal dismantling of myth. The so-called perfect image lay in ruins, and everyone knew it.
They are. But the reality is that we need to start speaking more truth if we are really going to get to the real power. And if we don't recognize the full history, then we are doomed to repeat it. And frankly, this is a guy that is trying to do everything.
The roar of the audience did not fade easily. It echoed, filling every corner of the hall, every camera feed, every social media stream, already slicing this moment into viral clips. Jasmine Crockett stood firm, her final words delivered not as a personal attack, but as a warning etched into the night. She reminded the crowd that perfection without truth is nothing more than a costume, that images, no matter how polished, cannot erase history. The applause grew louder, waves of laughter still rippling through the room as her voice cut above the noise. We don't need another perfect picture. We need the truth, and tonight the truth just tore your illusion apart. Ivanka lowered her eyes, the weight of silence hanging over her like a spotlight. The cameras caught the exact second the tension swallowed her words. She had none left to offer. The daughter of a dynasty, the symbol of poise, was stripped bare by something she could not control. Raw, unfiltered honesty wielded like a blade. The crowd knew it too. They weren't simply laughing at Ivanka, they were laughing at the idea that anyone could stay untouchable forever. The eruption of applause became its own verdict. No jury, no courtroom, no panel of analysts could have delivered it clearer. Crockett delivered her final blow with calm precision, not shouting, not gloating, but speaking with the certainty of someone who knew the fight was already won. Perfect images fade, truth endures, and tonight, America has seen enough to know which one stands. The audience erupted one last time, a mix of laughter, applause, and disbelief. It was more than a debate, more than a confrontation. It was the collapse of a myth in real time, broadcast to the world. The stage lights dimmed slightly, but the echo of the moment refused to die. For Ivanka, the perfect image would never look the same again. For Jasmine Crockett, the night sealed her reputation as the one who dared to crush illusions before a nation hungry for truth. And for everyone watching, the message was undeniable. Power built on perfection alone cannot withstand the force of laughter and the sharp edge of truth.